Da, bună ziua! The children may be sleeping in New York also, but definitely the children are sleeping in Sydney, which is the title of the book we are going to release today, authored by Mihaela HERGHILIGIu. She is present with us here, together with Professor Antonio Sandu, the director of Lumen Publishing, and her three wonderful friends who have come here to talk to you about the book, Mrs. Ana ANDRONACHE, Mrs. Maria Zancu, and Mrs. Cristina-Micsandra. Therefore, what I would like to do today is to invite you to take a break from our minds and to move into ourselves, into our souls, and become children once again with Mihaela HERGHILIGIu. Let me tell you some things about the author first. The author was born in Romania. She graduated from Suceava and Bucharest universities, where she studied philology and theology. She also holds a master's degree in communication and public relations. She's been working as a teacher since 1990. Also, she is the appreciated author of poetry with the books Calligraphy of the Dream and Levitating Town. She is well known by the different literary publications in her country, which is Romania, and she has been very well promoted since her debut as a writer. As the author tells us about her book, she says it is a book about living the disappointment of not being able to build connections neither in real life nor in the virtual one, about finding answers to questions such as the meanings of love and life, religion, philosophy, and psychology, the scientific elucidatory approaches making room but not interrupting the fluency of the hero's discourses. Therefore, Lumen Publishing is proud to present to you today, during this edition of the International Scientific Conference, Rethinking Social Action, Core Values in Practice, and to celebrate the Bookfest book fair, which is the largest book fair in Romania, the book The Children Are Sleeping in Sydney, authored by Mihaela HERGHILIGIu. I will ask the author at this point to say hello to her readers and to everyone who is present here today, and to introduce us into the atmosphere of the book. Mihaela, are you with us here? Can you hear us?
Yes, of course. Nice to meet you all.
Welcome, and nice to meet your book. Tell us about it.
Thanks a lot. You presented so well already that I don't know what to say anymore. I think I want to hear your questions because I really don't know how to start.
Well, I'm an author of novels myself, so whenever I meet a fellow writer, I like to ask, what made you write?
I guess this book was a coincidence for me. I didn't have the intention to write anything, but it happened. I simply wrote as I felt, and it happened. In the first place, I don't like the digressions and all that doesn't represent normality. So what can I say? I'm waiting for more specific questions because,
of course, I have a lot of questions for you. But before that, Mrs. Laura Nae, if you can hear us, please move to the other account. My colleagues will send you the correct link in the private chat. Thank you. So, moving back to the author, Mihaela HERGHILIGIu. Authors usually feel a lot when they are writing their books, and those feelings are placed inside the book, only that they are transformed so that everyone could grasp a little bit of those feelings and make them their own. Which part of you is in the book most of all? What did you take from yourself and offer it to the entire world?
Of course, I think you are asking yourself is if the main topic of the book is love. I don't know if I could say that that in a relaxing tone. The fact that I wrote it in English imposed upon myself more self-reflection and self-censorship. I repeat, I've always been dreaming of writing a book of thoughts and about how I write effectively, and this to convert into the main plot. But this implies too much reasoning, so I had to hit it by the introduction of a love story. It's a half about feelings and half about mind, I guess. And,
do you think that today's readers are ready for your book?
Yeah, because I thought to write it in a simple manner and to write it for the public effectively and make them think about my reasons, of course. Even if sometimes it seems a bit embarrassing, maybe, but yeah, this is life, so I transposed the life into the book. And yeah.
Well, this is what the author thinks about her book. She told us what she thinks about her book, how it came into being. So let's see what the people who read the book think about the book. Mrs. ANDRONACHE, she is a professor at the Theoretical High School Horia from Măgurele and also a professor at Teach for Romania. Please, let us hear your thoughts about the book.
Good afternoon. My name is Anna, as you mentioned. Yes, I'm also a teacher, like the author of the book. In fact, this is how we knew each other. I think I've already told Mihaela that this is like a challenge for me, being here, talking about her book. I was so honored when she called me and told me that she has written a book and she would like me to talk about it. What can I say is that from the very beginning, it was a pleasure for me to dive into this fictional universe of the book. I think that the reflexive atmosphere of the book, I don't know, was like a soothing balm, you know, after a hard day of work or maybe having a difficult time, just knowing that I would go back at home and in the evening I would have the chance to read a few pages from her book. It was such a nice and comforting thought. So for that, Mihaela, thank you very much. What I would like to point out is that for me, your book was able to calm down that emotional charge, you know, which sometimes can be a negative one. I wrote here one of the first paragraphs that made me understand that the book has such a welcoming sensibility, for which I'm also grateful. And the paragraph is this one: the tree in front of my window will remind me that it's October, then November, December, January, and February. This is at the beginning of the book, if I remember correctly. And so I told myself, wow, what a wonderful connection between the nature and the human soul. And I said that it would be such a nice thing to try it for myself, be more present these days. So again, thank you for that. Another paragraph that I really like is this one. We don't need to search for fantastic or for miracles because they are always next to us. I really liked that the characters were really trying to notice the beauty around them and maybe see the great things from those things which are not actually perfect, which was like this long distance relationship, or maybe being an internet relationship, which is not like a perfect situation. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. I hope you can understand me. For me, it was nice to see that I have things in common with the female character from the book. I understood how she felt being a teacher, being surrounded by the energy of the students, but still being surrounded by things that are not sometimes okay, they are overwhelming. This high sensitivity, it was very personal to me, very familiar. Oh yes, and also what I really enjoyed, I am among those people who really believe in the power of storytelling, especially in the power of written words. And so I just took this book, which I think it's such a nice one. So also congratulations to all the team for working on it. I took this book as a book which has such a noble purpose, you know, using words in order to keep something alive, something dear to us. And also those words have the power to, I don't know, to recreate ourselves or just use them to tell who we really are. And I also found this quote in the book: in words we can recreate or put ourselves entirely, so we can save us for later when we will need what we saved. And so I think that after reading this book, it would be my personal, I don't know, belief, or even a stronger belief that yes, words are extremely important and extremely powerful. It also taken into consideration that most of the things the author was talking about and most of the things the characters were going through were words, were discussions about things, very deep and meaningful discussions. As I said before, again, I would like to congratulate the whole team that worked on the book. I think that the cover is also so beautiful. And I would also like to say to Mihaela that I really think that you should use your gift to write other powerful books. And state once again that for me, for, I don't know, few days, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, while I was trying to read the books, also going to school and reading something else, it was that moment when I just relaxed myself. I let myself really dive into the book. I understand the words, the discussions very well. And yes, and I think that's it. So thank you very much for the book and for you inviting me here.
Thank you, teacher Anna ANDRONACHE, for such a beautiful presentation of the book. You are at school right now, am I right? Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So, I like your background. I like it that you're in school with the children. So if you were to tell the children you teach about this book and to encourage them to read it, what type of children would you encourage to read this book? I know the adults get a lot from this book, so I know it. But younger people, what would you tell them about this book?
Well, I think that firstly, I would try to underline the fact that we are talking about a long-distance relationship, which takes place in this virtual world, which I think it will be very appealing to them because it's close to their everyday reality. They usually have those kind of connections every day. Secondly, I think that I would use the book in order to make them see this how rich an inner life can be, and how much we can get from really paying attention to what is going on around us. Also, I think I would try to ask them to read the book and give them a small or like a big challenge, just to make notes of what they see, they notice, maybe for 2 or 3 weeks, but really notice, like write it down. How is the tree from my window? What is going on at school? How are my classmates? How am I feeling today? How would the world, how would I like the world to be, and so on. So yes, I think this is what I would ask them to do, and this is what I would tell them.
Thank you very much. Now, I noticed that Mihaela HERGHILIGIU wanted to tell you something, but before that, we have a little surprise for her. Right now, her sister is at Romexpo, and she is at the book fair, Bookfest, right now. So I would like to ask her sister to say hello to the author. Can you see us, Andrea? Oh, look there. Andrea, tell us something so we can see you full screen. Here is the Lumen stand at Bookfest Book Fair. We await you all in Bucharest. Oh, and here is Mihaela's book. It's nice to have you all at Bookfest Bucharest this year. We are very happy to see you after 2 years of pandemics. We have come back in force. And as you know, Lumen Publishing is always close to our fans in Bucharest. We have always had wonderful book fairs in Bucharest. We are psyched to be there. And we still have 2 days of book fair left. We can't wait for that. You've been wonderful. You've come and see us. You've bought the books. You've received what we had to offer. And you are wonderful, Bucharest. Therefore, come see Mihaela's book. Come and get it. It's fresh and it's for all ages, for adults and for children, and for people who are dreaming, for people who have forgotten how to dream and want to learn it again. And if we are talking about learning and people who want to learn how to dream again, let's ask a teacher how to do it. Let's go to Cristina-Micsandra Ungureanu. She is a teacher at the middle school Ioanel Teodoreanu from Bucharest. Mrs. Ungureanu, have you been at Bookfest yet? Did you see Mihaela's book there?
Actually, I wasn't there, but I know her book. I've read her book while I was in hospital with my little kid. I stayed there for 5 days, and I had that book with me, and it helped me really. It's a good book. It helped me meditate and think at lots of things. And yeah, it's a good book.
Did it help you avoid reality, or did it help you understand your reality better?
And it helped me see my reality, I think. Many of us are saying everything on this earth is in a great speed. Time, people's actions, consciousness, and especially speaking flow. We're thinking fast, talking fast, and we agree even faster on the external environment. Very agitated, this craziness, people are saying. Words don't have time to be felt, thought, said clearly, and with sense. They don't have time to shape the realities and to send them over the seas and horizons as pure forms of energy. Sometimes we were hearing our grandparents, silence is made of gold. Also, my father had his own thought, better little and good than much and bad. Anyway, mystery of silence is miraculous and fulfilling. Like an introduction for this book. The Children Are Sleeping in Sydney is a book about balancing the emotional component of us and the mind, the mental capacity to solve problems in the context of heavy communication between people nowadays. The author, Mihaela, says we lay too much emphasis on the brain reasoning capacities while reducing the importance of our own state of welfare. We're almost deconstructed as human beings, forced to live our lives by parts, not wholly, harmoniously, and that we find ourselves all the time in the situation to understand, not to feel, as if feelings would be something shameful, disgraceful, and hard to live with. Mihaela's characters are simple people with unornamented lives, but with complicated issues to confront, and their names are fictive. Her story is joined with Bible stories because her life is connected with the divine. It's mystic. She puts into words her own fears and anxieties and builds an online relationships with an Australian soldier, giving them the chance to know each other on a soul level. But as time goes on, this means a communication turned against them. After 3 years of virtual love story between a patient of blood cancer, that is also the key person in one of the most powerful armies of the world, the Australian army, and the Romanian English teacher, they can no longer act like this. Here comes the disappointment and of not being able to build connections, neither in real life nor in the virtual one. The voices of the characters mix with the voices of others, and even with her own conscience in an inside track through the meanders of the psyche. The author loves the nature, especially the clouds, saying that they are too beautiful to even think that God's not there. So that reminded me of another about William Wordsworth was saying, "Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher," in Table Turned, year 1798. She also feels the time passing too fast and that we can slow down this by living maybe an unpleasant and boring life. Ideas from Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Unfortunately, the clock is ticking. The hours are going by. The past increases, the future recedes. Possibilities decreasing, regrets mounting. Haruki Murakami was saying, the book is a diary, and we are so thankful to the author because she shared with us some interesting ideas. Everything is music. even the voice of the loved one is a melody which sounds in her heart like a crystal bell on a fascinating morning of Christmas. The untold words created a symphony in alto vibrato. The fascination of love isn't measured in great words, but in a specific music the author in love heard in a specific moment while the discussion between them ceased. It's like a miracle inside, working on the alchemy they both found themselves composing. Page 21, if you allow me to read from this book.
Yes, please.
The melody of your voice sounds in my heart like a crystal bell on a fascinating morning of Christmas. What you haven't told me created a symphony I could hear now in alto vibrato. I don't even feel the need to search for miracles or for other worlds as long as you live inside me. And so we're working on the alchemy we both found ourselves composing. Yes. In a letter to Mary Wordsworth, William Wordsworth was telling to her, "Write to me frequently and the longest letters possible. Never mind whether you have facts or no to communicate. Fill your paper with the breathing of your heart." And Ludmila Ulitskaya, a contemporary writer, and the meaning of love, its power and happiness consists in the fact that in loving one person, you are liberated from attraction and longing for them. But sometimes here comes the reality. What to do together? To get married and have kids, and then what? Somehow, this fascinating music of love is interrupted by these kind of questions. The author of this book describes the nature using lots of metaphors and nice words, sometimes replacing photos with these words. So I'm going to read my favorite chapter from 123. Effervescence is the feeling I got today in the middle of the fields, up the hill in the hot sun. What was announced as an ordinary day proved to be an extraordinary one. The matter of fact was actually simple and consisted of a composition of hills colored in green, yellow, and brown, with shrubs spread here and there, wild herbs and flowers, and the sweet smell of straw scattered along a dusty rural path. The hay gathered in huge oval wheels amongst the fields of corn, and sunflower completed the big picture in which the details were given by the cornflowers visited by gauzy butterflies or by the turrets of a church on the opposite hill, suddenly turned up at the end of another dusty path. The interferences of sky, hills, path, smells, sounds, and my heart gave me the absolute peace of mind and clarity I needed. This is why I say we can never exist outside nature. Again, long discussions online about betrayal, trusting, but in the end, love wins. She doesn't believe in the idea of negativity and positivity. She only wants to feel free, to feel she feels, and that the optimism is a result of all feelings. Sometimes sorrows are suddenly followed by a sudden burst of joy. Caught online, one never knows who's talking to, who's counting his searches, following his interests, checking his exchanges of replies, analyzing his posts. There's always a secret eye which sees everything and knows everybody. Getting in is dangerous. Getting out of there is a challenge. It's still well there's that in between variant. Very soon it is possible not to find it. In the end, like a conclusion, we are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust swirling and dancing in the eddies and whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal. We have stopped for a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, to share. This is a precious moment. It is a little parenthesis in eternity. Thank you.
We are in a little parenthesis within eternity. I don't know if Mihaela HERGHILIGIU wanted to take us there, especially, but from what I can see now, the book is out there. What the reader makes of it makes the book become the readers and not the authors. Once we put our books out there, our books are no longer ours, the people who wrote them, but are the readers' books, right, Mihaela? Right.
Yes, right. I don't recognize myself in this, what Cristina and Anna said about me. It's like a strange book now for me. And I don't recognize anything from those words. I'm looking at it and it's completely weird.
Well, let's see if you feel the same after Mrs. Maria Zancu finishes her speech. She is a teacher at the middle school Emil Racoviță from Bucharest and also a founder of Teacher Me. Teacher Maria Zancu, please use any language that is that better suits you for your speech, either English or Romanian. We are listening.
Mulțumesc. Eu o să vorbesc în română astăzi. O să vin cu partea de română. Mulțumesc în primul rând pentru invitație. În momentul în care a venit Mihaela la mine, avea ora de engleză cu copiii mei și mi-a spus așa timidă, știi, am o carte pe care am scris-o și am publicat-o și voiam să ți-o dau și ție să-mi spui părerea ta. Și în momentul acela i-am și spus, de ce nu spui la toată lumea? De ce nu știu, faci așa o lansare de carte în școală, adică să fie ceva mare. Așa că mă bucur că atunci când mi-a răspuns că da, o să fiu la Bookfest. Încă o dată felicitări și echipei și Mihaelei. Am acceptat cu foarte mult drag pentru că cumva atunci când eram mică aveam pe lista mea de 100 de lucruri de făcut în viață, de fapt pe la 12 ani, să scriu și eu o carte sau să ajung să citesc cât mai multe cărți în limba engleză. Ei bine, s-au îndeplinit amândouă, iar astăzi sunt aici în primul rând în calitate de cititor și în al doilea rând în calitate de colegă. Ce pot să spun despre Mihaela, în primul rând, care a scris această carte, este că din ce am apucat să o cunosc anul acesta, am simțit o blândețe și o delicatețe pe care am resimțit-o mai târziu și în carte și în cuvintele pe care le-a pus acolo. Am rămas impresionată, în primul rând, de partea aceasta de social media și de cum este transpus acest mesaj în carte. Ce vreau eu să spun este faptul că în momentul în care am citit cartea, bineînțeles, m-am gândit la propriile mele exemple din social media și de cum am avut eu relații de-a lungul timpului, bazându-mă mai mult pe online și pe tot ce înseamnă în zilele noastre internetul. Și dacă la început nu eram suficient de convinsă, chiar mă întrebase și Mihaela, tu crezi că există o relație așa care ar putea funcționa doar la distanță și doar folosind internetul? Iar eu în acel moment am spus nu. Eram și în pauza mea, mâncam și am spus nu există așa ceva, nu am încredere. Ei bine, a venit cumva soarta peste mine și mi-a spus, uite, învață să ai și o astfel de relație, astfel că am avut timp de câteva luni o relație la distanță și ne-am auzit mai mult pe social media, astfel că acum mă identific și mai mult cu cartea Mihaelei. Eu sunt în social media de câțiva ani, fac marea parte din Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, tot ce ține de acest internet. Și mi-a oferit ocazia să cunosc cât mai mulți oameni. Iar am fost un pic, cum spuneam și mai devreme, contrariată de partea aceasta de relație online, pentru că pentru mine niciodată nu a funcționat să ai o relație la distanță și doar să te vezi online sau să vorbești online, să ai niște sentimente atât de puternice pentru un om pe care poate nu o să-l vezi niciodată sau poate că o să-l vezi abia după câteva luni sau după câțiva ani. Și fiind atât de contrariată, cumva îmi pregătisem acest speech despre cum pe mine nu m-a ajutat social media să stabilesc această legătură între mine și un posibil partener. Însă, cum spuneam, soarta este destul de vicleană și a venit și mi-a demonstrat opusul pentru câteva luni, că poți să simți, poți să ai niște emoții profunde, poți să trăiești ceva frumos și la distanță, bineînțeles cu suferința aferentă, de care Mihaela nu s-a temut să o expună în carte. Cu toate acestea, pot să spun că apreciez social media pentru tot ceea ce ne oferă, pentru faptul că putem să trăim, chiar dacă nu ne vedem, ca să spunem așa, pentru că putem să avem niște emoții umane, putem să fim oameni, de fapt, și pe social media dacă reușim să găsim acei oameni care ne fac să ne simțim oameni. Da, nu știu, sunt un pic emoționată acum și nu prea știu exact cum să mai continui.
Emoționată e bine, pentru că atunci când lasăm o carte cum este The Children Are Sleeping in Sydney, discutăm despre emoții, așa că emoționată e bine. Uitați, vedeți, Mihaela nu a lansat cartea la școală, ci la cel mai mare târg de carte din România. Iar invitata Zancu Maria ne spune că pe lista ei de 100 de lucruri de făcut în viață are să scrie o carte. Și noi spunem așa, dacă tot Mihaela ne spune despre visuri și despre realitatea din noi, dacă realitatea din Zancu Maria va fi pusă vreodată pe hârtie sub forma unei cărți, te invităm să o trimiți și la Lumen sau poate vei dori să alegi sora mai tânără a editurii Lumen, editura Logos Panda, pe care o lansăm oficial mâine. Poate ați auzit voi niște zvonuri pe undeva prin social media și atunci mâine vom lansa editura Logos Panda, care este ultima soră din grupul editorial Lumen și despre care veți auzi mâine mai multe la ora 12. Vă așteptăm în cadrul aceleiași conferințe, Rethinking Social Action, Core Values in Practice, pentru a vedea despre ce este vorba și pentru a-i face o bună primire și a-i cânta la mulți ani editurii Logos Panda. Until then, and about this new publishing house and about how Lumen was very happy to publish Mihaela's book, I would like to ask Professor Antonio Sandu, the director of Lumen Publishing, to tell us what he thinks about Mihaela's book and about all the opinions he heard here today. And about Mihaela's lack of words, because I see that Mihaela is very interested in listening to what people have to say about her book. And I get it, I understand it, because when I published my novels at my book releases, I didn't want to speak. I wanted to hear what people had to say. So, Professor Antonio Sandu, let me hear your thoughts.
Hello again in this conference that we organized, and in this book release that we organized in conjunction with Bookfest Book Fair. Dar pentru că m-am uitat așa, am aruncat o privire fugitivă și n-am văzut foarte mulți vorbitori de neromână printre participanții la această lansare, îmi permit să spun și eu câteva cuvinte în limba română și apoi, cu grația cu care ne-a obișnuit Alexandra, va face un rezumat în limba engleză, eventual, a ceea ce voi spune pe scurt în limba română. Nu că n-aș putea vorbi în limba engleză. I speak in English and I think I speak quite well in English. Asta era doar o mostră de vorbit în engleză, doar că acum simt că o carte scrisă în limba engleză despre peregrinările sufletului trebuie neapărat povestită într-o limbă plină de conștiință, într-o limbă plină de suflet. Și româna nu poate fi o limbă mai frumoasă decât cea în care noi visăm. Și chiar dacă autoarea a ales limba engleză și noi am ales limba engleză pentru publicare, pentru a fi accesibilă cartea cititorilor din întreaga lume, acum consider că o astfel de carte poate fi simțită, trăită și în limba română, sau mai ales în limba română, pentru că oricât de mult am vrea noi să trăim în altă limbă decât în limba noastră, poate copiii sunt adormiți în altă limbă decât în limba maternă, poate că astăzi așa este, și nu mă refer la copiii din Sydney, pe care îi prezintă autoarea, ci la copiii reali, care sunt astăzi plecați cu părinții în străinătate și care am întâlnit situații că nu mai știu care e limba maternă. Știu pe cineva care, român fiind, părinții români, la grădiniță în Germania și era foarte mirat de colegii lui, deci nu vorbesc și româna, pentru că el vorbește germana și deci n-ar trebui să vorbească și româna. Și atunci, astfel de situații, pe mine ca sociolog și filozof, îndrăznesc să spun, mă pun un semn de întrebare. Care e limba în care simțim? Gândim în limba în care vorbim sau poate nu gândim ceea ce vorbim. Am prezentat cu alte ocazii despre gândim ceea ce spunem ceea ce gândim sau invers. Dar în ce limbă simțim? Care este limba în care apar sentimentele? Poate că limba sentimentelor este cea de care Biblia ne vorbește înainte de Babel, în care pur și simplu e o întâlnire de la ființă la ființă, e o întâlnire în care doar rădăcina gândului este suficient să ne facă cunoscută realitatea, esența noastră, și atunci mă gândesc că și limba superioară a noastră, nu limba în care ne-am născut, deși străbunicul meu, italian fiind, în ultima parte a vieții, atunci când era patul de moarte, nu că a refuzat să mai vorbească în limba română, vorbind doar italiană, ci n-a mai cunoscut altă limbă decât cea maternă, pentru că era limba în care emoțiile, în care trăirile erau făcute cunoscute minții. Pentru că una din ideile pe care aș vrea să le împărtășesc cu dumneavoastră astăzi este faptul că, și sigur o să mă întrebați după aceea ce legătură are aceasta cu cartea, dar o să vedeți că are. Niciodată gândul nostru nu vine în cuvinte. Deci noi spunem gândim în cuvinte și vorbim în cuvinte. Gândul vine întâi ca o emoție. Gândul vine întâi ca o fulgerare de conștiință ce ne apare, de care nici măcar nu suntem conștienți, și doar mari mistici, doar mari rugători ajung să trăiască experiența negândirii asupra unui viitor gând. Și atunci, în ce limbă e acea negândire? Acea nerostire a gândului? Acea nerostire primară, intermediară, cum vreți, în ce limbă se întâmplă? Sigur că nu din acest motiv am ales să publicăm cartea în limba engleză, ci pentru că veșmântul ulterior al acestor sentimente pe care autoarea le-a introdus în carte, veșmântul ulterior a fost pe bună dreptate limba engleză, pentru că trăirea descrisă în carte este una universală și vrem sau nu, limba engleză este la ora actuală limba comunicării universale. Spuneam ce legătură are gândirea și modul în care o idee devine gând, o idee, poate în sensul lui Platon, în sensul unui logos, pentru că suntem într-o zonă în care trăirea este logocentrică și în care logosul devine verb. Sigur că suntem în spațiu religios și în spațiul întâlnirii virtuale în același timp. Vedeți, vorbim despre cuvânt, care este logos în greacă și verb în latină. Europa este centrată între logos și verb. Logosul este înaintea vorbirii, înaintea gândirii, verbul este la finalul gândirii. Și să știți că am meditat destul de profund asupra acestei relații și am întâlnit-o în această carte, nu expres, nu în forma cuvintelor pe care le spun, pe care le prezint, ci într-o formă a zbaterii pentru a te face prezent, în zbaterea pentru prezență. Nu știu dacă autoarea a avut această emoție de a se face prezentă. Dar am receptat-o atunci când am citit cartea, atunci când m-am întâlnit cu autoarea în cadrul Bookfest și am simțit în ea că există o profundă zbatere pentru întâlnirea cu logosul. Și atunci Lumen, ca editură, Lumen este un nume care atunci când am fost inspirați să-l punem, a venit în sensul, sigur, Lumen fiind o denumire latină pentru lumină, dar în același timp o denumire pentru acea lumină primordială. În fizică o numim banal radiația de 4 Kelvin. În mistică se spune lumina necreată. Adică radiația de 4 Kelvin, fiind din momentul Big Bang-ului, este primordială, poate nu necreată, adică nu în sensul în afara spațiului și timpului, ci care constituie prin ea însăși, prin expansiunea acelei energii primordiale, constituie prin ea însăși spațiul și timpul. Și această carte arată o constituire a spațiului și timpului interior al subiectului, al subiectivității. Nu știu dacă autoarea este sau nu de acord cu mine și aș vrea să ne spună câteva cuvinte despre percepția subiectivității pe care a avut-o atunci când, sau pe care o are atunci când se uită la propria carte ca un străin. Pentru că întotdeauna, ca autori, după ce am publicat o carte, ne uităm la acel străin de pe masa de la târg și o să rog pe colega noastră care este acum în târg să mai pună încă o dată acea masă din târg cu imaginea cărții, dacă este posibil, și să ne spună autoarea cum vede acest străin care este ea însăși de pe coperta cărții.
Imediat vom avea imagini și din târg. Momentan doamna are o clientă și revine cu imagini live.
Ok.
So, Mihaela HERGHILIGIU, are you ready to answer this question? While you think about it, what Professor Antonio Sandu just said was that this book is beautiful in any language. This is what he said about your book. He said that it is written in English, but it is felt in the language of our dreams. It can be lived and experienced in any language, because sometimes children fall asleep not only in their native language, but in any language, or perhaps in all the languages of the world at the same time. Therefore, he thinks that the question for your book is in what language we feel, if there is a universal language like the one before Babel, or if all languages are a single universal language when feelings and emotions become primordial compared to words. Therefore, even if we believe that we think in words, we do not think in words because our thoughts are initially a feeling, a non-saying of the word. Therefore, there is no language in which we particularly think because there is no language in which we particularly feel. English is the universal language right now, and it is very good that you decided, according to Professor Antonio Sandu, to publish your work in English, because this is how you reach a wider audience, and the book deserves that. But the power of the Logos is presented in your book as a form of agitation to become present, to make others aware of oneself. Therefore, he believes that you have a continuous search to meet this Logos. This is why Lumen Publishing was pleased to publish your work, because Lumen in Latin means light, and the first light was the primordial light, and the primordial light was created through the spoken word, and words are Logos. Now, after this short resume of what Professor Antonio Sandu said, did an answer pop into your head?
Yeah, I am very impressed about everything that was said here in this meeting, and it is more than I expected, really. After I have finished writing this book, I started to ask myself questions like, why have I written in English, really? And I thought that I wrote it by reason of normality, as technology represents another normality of our days. And the second reason would be to escape from reality and from the tight relationship with my own mother tongue, to deconstruct in order to construct myself, who knows? And as I told you before, I wrote it as I felt, like a collection of short paragraphs assembled together and all having as title XXX, and apart from a longer text in the book that I put a title above it. I wish this book to reflect the times we are living in which all, to a lesser or a greater extent, became writers, better writers, weaker writers, or the best ones, through the apps by which we practice the texting all day long. I've always been dreaming, actually, of writing a small fancy book of thoughts of my own, of an opinion giver, or of a small philosopher or a theologian, philosophy and theology, being the domains I find myself in the best way. And actually, this hastened age when books are hated and loved at the same time, in this hastened age, I stress the practical aspect of the shortness of a book. I'm joking. No, I wanted this book to look differently, to be a mixture with concern to form, and I didn't wish this to respect any rule or to impose itself upon the reader. Okay, in the beginning of the book, I said that at the end of the 3 years, the characters should give up their relationship built by technology means. Meanwhile, I changed my mind. And of course, I'm in consonance with the ideas of anguish and disillusions promoter introduced in the actual novel Michel Houellebecq, that doesn't shy away from telling things as they are. But I'm also in the continuation of Anna Karenina's classic tragedy, because life in itself is tragic and limited. I realized, as I was saying, that the virtual became so much an extension of ours that we spent almost half of our lives there. So yes, the virtual offers us the possibility to run away from the common reality in another type of imaginariness, but it also becomes a lifestyle, a way to deepen our relationships, even exclusively online. I'm sometimes thinking that even God is only in our mind, but do we love him less for this? I wrote poetry before, and I told you it was simply a coincidence, because I don't even think about myself as being a poet. Since I was a child, I associated usually the poetry with crying and with sadness. But only now I realize that the poetry isn't sad in itself, but it is a tool of tearing away from sadness and of abandoning into joy. Although I refer to the misfortune of life, to death, I don't feel a single moment that I have something in common with the spleen and with the restlessness. On the contrary, beyond the cry of pain expressed in words, I'm not an adept of fragmentation and dissolution, but I still wear inside me the hope for a classic, peaceful resolution like in Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, the author of Regency romance, True Marriage. Actually, I am a classic by structure, and this love that unfolds in the book has similar points to that passionate and tragic affair between Anna and her lover, Vronsky. Or it could also be a relationship sabotaged not by families and by Catherine and Heathcliff, but by the distance. It might also be the epitome of a difficult woman similar to Scarlett O'Hara that lives in a period when money, power, and the Civil War keeps her away from Red, yet they are drawn back together after some time. It is at times baffling, like Charlotte Bronte's Gothic love story. We remember that Jane is hired as a governess to the word of Mr. Rochester, stumbling into his affections. Okay. Anyway, I am a classic by structure, but I have common points with the actual novel that stress the idea of fragmentation, of mixture of everything in the book. And after I wrote that, I thought from a critical point of view that I should associate this with the palimpsest idea. The term palimpsest comes from the Latin palimpsestus, which derives from the ancient Greek palimpsestos, a combination of again and scrape, and the process consists in scraping and washing off the original material, the surface being re-smoothed and the new literary material being written on the salvaged one. It's what I want to say. I didn't necessarily want to reflect this idea in my book, but now when I think about it, I can simply open my book randomly and read any sentence I want, then open it on the last pages, then go back to the beginning pages and read it in whatever order I want. And it's the lack of order that it's an order in itself, and the layers that transpire under the words can be read together with those that can be seen. Again, I discovered Michel Houellebecq nowadays, and in his expansion of the domain of the fight, I translated the title.
Hannah, I'm sorry, can I interrupt you for a second? Your sister wants to say something from Bookfest Book Fair.
Okay.
Andrea, can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear you because it's very noisy in there.
Yes, there we go. Yes, it's very noisy at Bookfest Book Fair. I'd like to be there, honestly. Oh, there's Mihaela's book.
Yeah, I think I said enough, isn't it, Alexandra? You told me in a polite way to stop myself and end my ideas here.
No, it was nothing like that. We just
because I have a lot of ideas, but sometimes I can't formulate them and tell them. I want to say a lot, and I don't succeed in telling everything I want.
Write another book. This is what ideas are for. Just write another. Trust me, it works.
Okay.
What I wanted is to make sure that you can wave to your sister, because she is there looking out for you, so that your book gets big sales, and that Lumen has a smart, beautiful, and really interesting representative at Bookfest Book Fair. So go talk to Andrea, Mihaela's sister, and also these days you can also meet Mihaela at the Lumen stand in Bookfest. At this point, we have reached the end of this book release. I was very happy to be here with all of you. So let's take 10 seconds each just to say a final word, one phrase, while we enjoy everything that's happening at Bookfest. Andrea, hello.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
How are things at Bookfest?
Aici la Bookfest, la standul Editura LUMEN. Vă aștept aici la stand. În primul rând vreau să o felicit pe Mihaela pentru această carte minunată și doresc să felicit Editura LUMEN pentru publicarea acestei cărți. Felicitări încă o dată și vă aștept la standul Editura LUMEN. Nu știu dacă mă auziți.
Da, te auzim. Te auzim, Andreea. Mulțumim că ne transmiți de acolo și că ai grijă de cărțile noastre.
Da, vă aștept cu drag.
Mulțumim.
Felicitări încă o dată.
May I say a few more words, because I forgot to thank Lumen whole team for believing in this book and for helping it to come into being, to say like this. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you, Mihaela. I can see that you are a bit nervous, but I think it was a very beautiful thing to say just in the end, like a final thought. We are very happy to be your publishers. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for being with us at Bookfest Book Fair, and also to this cultural event associated to the Lumen International Scientific Conference, Rethinking Social Action, Core Values in Practice 2022 edition. And we hope to see you all soon with other book fairs and other beautiful conferences. Be well, stay safe, and let's meet again tomorrow at 12 o'clock when we release and celebrate the coming into being, the birth of Logos Panda Publishing. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.